The content you're about to hear is a part of a paid programming segment. The views, opinions, and statements expressed belong solely to the sponsor and do not reflect those of Podcastic or its host. This segment is for informational and promotional purposes only and should not be considered as advice or endorsement. Listener discretion is advised.
Good day, good people. Welcome to another purpose-filled episode of Lessons for the Journey. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and information on women's wellness, understanding our whys, and the lessons that inspire us to take positive actions in ourselves, our families, and our communities. Our topics focus on women's wellness, seeing through a metaphysical lens, sharing spiritual insights, highlighting journey lessons, and building healthy relationships. I am your host, Dr. Hetheru, and I share this space with engaging co-hosts, guests, inspiring topics every Friday at noon for a transformative 1-hour experience here on Podcastic Live and Facebook. You can expect deep, thought-provoking conversations on self-discovery and personal growth, special guests, locations, events, people, polls, and thoughts, co-hosts sharing wisdom and life-changing insights, and a powerful blend of spiritual, metaphysical, and wellness lessons, tools, strategies to help you elevate your mind, your body, and your spirit. Our show is produced by Chantel Mosley at Podcastic Studios. Our co-hosts are Ma'at Sabah, Mary E. Bayou, Nicole S. Miller, and special appearances by Dr. Calvin T. Mann. If you are seeking clarity, healing, or personal empowerment, this podcast is for you. So we need for you to tune in, engage, and transform because your journey of self-discovery starts now. But before you begin, I need for you to get your tools because this is going to be a really interesting conversation. I know I say that every episode, but I believe it's true every episode. So what we need for you to get ready is your water, your journal or your notebook, and an ink pen because I want you to make sure that you take some of the notes that are going to resonate with you, going to inspire you, and also provide some of the information that you need for your next step. It always is set to help prepare you for your next steps. And so we're going to jump right into our topic. Our topic for today, and we do have a guest that will be joining us in the studio, Dichondra R. Johnson of DRJ and Associates LLC. She's also a new author and an amazing woman. She's done a lot in our community, a lot for women, a lot to help affect policy in our community. So maybe we'll have a chance to dig into deeper about who she is. But if you miss it, you also can go back and look at our Put Your Family First podcast because she was our guest this past Monday. So you have an opportunity to get a little bit deeper into who she is. But we want you to kind of weigh in on a question that we're posing today. Our call-in number is 810-560-0658. I wrote it down this time. Let me say that again, 810-560-0658. And so we always start off our show getting prepared with reflections. And we are going to use, we know that Ma has 2 sets of cards right now available to you. We have the Me, Myself, and I, which is another paper cut cutter on our thoughts and where we think we are. And then we also have the Ma'at memos, which are another way to deeply reflect on where you are at this particular moment. So we pull a card. We ask you to contemplate the question, at least write it down. And you'll have, well, for us today, you'll have 3 questions to choose from. So we're going to start with our Ma'at memos, and I'm going to pick my card. I'm going to the bottom, to the bottom. Okay, that's mine. Chantel. Oh, okay.
Every time.
Right.
Yes. You can come in.
Okay. So my question is, if you are too big for criticism, you are too small for praise. If you are too big for criticism, then you are too small for praise. Ooh, okay. So
that hits kind of deep.
It does. It does. That's another paper clip for me. So criticism, it can be very difficult to hear, and it is. And I think the more tender a space it reaches, the more important it is to reflect on what you're hearing. At least be still enough to take it in, and remove the judgment of whether you agree with it or disagree. Take it in first, so that you will know what to reflect on. And especially, like I said, if it's in a tender space. So I have been experiencing this with my my growth and the growth of my business and the growth of my network. So it's been I've been told that I need to take more advantage of my network and build more bridges. The same thing with my business. I had a really amazing contract this summer that in light of all the things that are happening, anticipating what happened this fall, I lost all those contracts. So it was a big financial gap in my resources. And so when somebody was telling me that you need to use your network more, you need to reach out to people more, build more bridges, and it was hard to hear because I feel like I'm doing that already, but it hit a tender spot because there's a part of me that wants to continue to grow, but as I'm continuing to grow, it's growing in new ways and spaces where I haven't been invited, but I would like to offer my own invitation, right? Walk in the doors that are meant for you, and that's kind of how I feel about it. So when it talks about if you're too big for criticism, so if I can't hear the advice that's being offered, then the praise that comes along with the success or the overcoming the obstacles, then I'm too small for that. So that, that's what came to my mind is growth around my business, growth around my network. And so this is really an important card for me. So thank you. Chantel.
Okay. So mine says defeat is not the worst of failures. Not to have tried is the true failure. Thank you. Yeah, I received that, and I actually was just saying that yesterday. Like, I want to still be humble and coachable, and willing to learn, even if I don't know them or things are challenging. I still want to at least be equipped to try.
Awesome.
Defeat.
Yes, defeat is not the worst of failures. Not to have tried is the true failure.
Also, I think we should look at what defeat is. I mean, are you really defeated? It's an opportunity to make another choice.
You change your perspective.
Exactly. So mine says, create a space and time for you and God. Be ever vigilant in prayer. And that's something I had been saying to myself that I needed to do more of when, I usually was very diligent in my prayer life, and then life starts lifing. And then you start thinking about things and stuff and what's happening, what needs to happen and what didn't happen and yada, yada. But not realizing that when you spend time in your prayer spaces where you get your answers from, that's when your peace comes in. That's when you get your ability to refocus. So spending time in your prayer space is really vital to your life and the direction that it's going in and what it is going to look like or could potentially look like depending on where you set your energy. And prayer life is not, I don't always use it for me. I pray about everything. I pray for family members. I pray for the world. I pray for the leaders who are calling the shots that determine what happens in our life. So it's not just about me because we're all interconnected. If if something happens to my neighbor, then if something's happening to me, and that's the way we should think about it, but we don't. In indigenous cultures, there's no such thing as I. It's just we. So if something happens in another country, it affects us too on an energetic, spiritual level, and we don't realize it. So being more prayerful will allow you to be more encompassing. It would allow you to really, you get checked. Spirit will check you when you out of order. So if you start pointing the finger, you have judgment about something, then Spirit will check you and be like, no, you the one out of order. You're out of order. Maybe you need to look at this differently. So that's, to me, I do need to spend more prayer time than I have been. And then, I won't have some of the challenges that I've had.
Wow. Well, thank you. And did Dichondra get one?
Yeah, she
Okay.
put one. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me. Good morning. How's everybody?
Oh, yeah, you can clear.
So I'm jumping right in. This actually is interesting. I pulled this card, and it's so ironic, Dr. Heather. You're going to laugh at this one. So how's everybody doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. I am reading my card. My name is Dichondra Johnson. And it says the best way to heal the world is to heal yourself first. And this year, I just learned that I was neurodivergent with ADHD.
Oh, okay.
Neurodivergent means your brain is not getting all the chemicals where it needs to go. It can come out in autism, it can come out in other things. And so I've been really struggling with healing myself. I find that right now, there's a lot of burdens in life. And when I want to take that time, either I'm made to feel like I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not being productive enough, or, you just don't want the whole world to burn down, and you know that you might be the only fireman and you don't want to watch everybody burn down. So I have had to deal with that. But today I'm putting on a wellness event, and I really need wellness because putting on this event has been hard. And Dr. Heather will tell you I'm honest about, my deficiencies, but also I know where my strength comes from. It's at the same time, sometimes you got to get time to get in the well. If you can't fill your well up, how do you fill it up if you don't have the time? So I think the best way, when I think about healing the world and healing myself, I think about the time. And so I promised one of my sister girls, she made me promise her that after today that I was going to take some time to just focus on me. And I told her I would. And I told her that we will get through helping women feel whole today so that we can be whole tomorrow.
Absolutely. I love that.
Thank you. And so I'm going to give that number out again. So we have this reflection question that is kind of anchoring our topic today. So our call-in number is 810-560-0658. And so we're going to pull Dichondra in because her book is right on time and in this conversation. So the last week, our last podcast, and this one we decided to carry over in this conversation because it's such an important conversation. And one of the reasons that it came up, it actually came up through our producer, Chantel. She had asked a question kind of at the end of one of our podcasts about did we think that the modesty of women, how did you phrase that? The modesty of women and use of the language. Yeah. Right, in the framing of the language is appropriate. Does it benefit us? Does it?
How modesty has changed from then
right from generation. Right, and so this kind of came out of that question, which was a very important and relevant question. So the reflection that we're talking about today is words as mirrors, and we're exploring the word BITCHHOE and the phrase ride or die. But we were looking at that across a generational lens of Black women, and what does it mean to you, and how do you wear it? And so this is the question that we're asking any of our listeners. You can always text a message, live from Facebook, but you can also call in. But what we want you to contemplate is when you hear those words or when you use those words, what is it reflecting you? What does it mean to you? And we have uncovered that different generations of women feel differently about the words. And so I'm just going to get into a little bit while we are having this conversation in the studio. So the first thing is, how can we use this vehicle of reflection for truth telling and to heal us ourselves? How can we anchor the true message in reality while lifting the energy toward transformation and reclaiming ourselves? So again, we're looking at those three phrases: the B word, the H word, and the phrase ride or die. And we talked a little bit about that last week, but I think it's a good time to have that conversation. I pitched to you first. So what do you think about when you think about it as a mirror or reflecting those words?
Well, as I stated last week, the H word I don't use. Have I ever said it? I have. The B word, I cannot stand the way media has desensitized us and almost now made it like a badge of honor for women that are calling themselves that. I remember where I think it first started was with the gay men that were on these like housewife shows. And then they started to call themselves that. And then next thing you know, because people follow whatever they see on TV and whatever they hear. And so then it started to be popularized. And then everybody started to call the men calling women that. And it wasn't just the housewife show, it was music. And so now, because it seems like women are more, they lack a sense of who they are. If they really knew who they were, then there's certain things that you just wouldn't do. You just don't, wouldn't vibrate with you anymore. When you shift your consciousness and elevate and grow, certain things don't fit anymore. And using these types of words are one of the things. To say that I never said the B word before, I would be lying if I said I never used it before. I have. I don't use it often, and then when I did say it, it was in anger. Again, the ride or die, I identify with the ride or die as loyalty. So I'm ride or die for the people that I'm loyal to. And as we said before, it could have a flip side, a negative connotation to it as well. But I just wish that we could see ourselves in a higher light. And again, as you spiritually grow, there's just certain things that you will not do. You won't say. It just doesn't sound right coming out of your mouth anymore. It doesn't feel right. And to start to give women a new image than what they see on media. They're emulating what they think is going to get them attention, it's going to get them some power, something to identify with. But what image is out there to counter what they're seeing? And I think that that's something that the women who are spiritually elevated enough would start to do, be the example for them. Telling them not to say it, you basically wasting your time, because now it is a culture. And so at some point in time, when they see the opposite, then they don't want to be that anymore. I was going to put some images together. I really didn't have time. And see if you saw the image of a woman who's dressed in a spiritual garb, which would you say that she was a B or a H? Probably not. If you saw a woman that was very finely dressed in the 1950s, would B or H apply to her? Probably not. If you see what they call a video vixen, would a B or H apply to her? Probably. So the images go along with these titles. And we have to start putting different images out there. And then the young women, to me, when they have something else to aspire to be, they'll want to be that when they see it, but they don't see it. So how can they be it if they don't see it? So I didn't mean to be long-winded on that.
That's awesome. Dichondra, how do you feel? You want to weigh in on this conversation? Have you heard the words being used?
Yeah, I will say I agree in certain capacities, but let me just start by saying I was born in 1976. So we might be maybe not all the same age.
Generation, right?
Not at all.
So let me say this. This is very complicated because it's just like the N-word, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a lot of other things that we say. Even gay, you know, they now say the gays, right? Everybody's changing up something. Mm-hmm. It depends on the context for me. And let me preface, because you know the difference. You know, words are not the word, it's how it's used. Because I can say, I'm happy. And you're like, okay, she's happy. I'll be like, I'm happy. And you're like, she's not happy, right? So I think I'm a thespian. Let me start there. You know, I think it's about the character. Mm-hmm. So to your point, if I saw a lady from the 50s or like, you know, Lena Horne, and she was bad and she looked good, I might say that's not bad, right? Mm-hmm. Not because of I'm not even thinking like a dog. Mm-hmm. You know, I think hip hop changed that. And I know that they say that it's men that did it, the misogyny, and they did, but it's the women who took all of that street language and they put it right back in their face and they said, I'm going to take this street language and I'm going to use it in a different way. And so I remember distinctly on my birthday, September 27th, 1990, there was a boy named Thomas. He called himself lying and saying that he had done things with me that he had not done. You know has happened. You know how men do that, ladies, sometimes. And I confronted him at the school. And I was like, first of all, I'm not a 304. You know, that's a new term now, ladies, right?
No.
Yeah. If you look on the phone.
If you turn it back down, that comes from the pager back in the day when we had pagers. Yeah. You know, 911, different things. So you turn it back. So he called, because we on live on air, ladies. I didn't want to come out there and say that. Yeah. But he called me a 304.
Oh my gosh.
So, okay. And he also said that I did some things to him in his lower regions that I had not done with my mouth. And then when I confronted him, I walked up to him and then he said, blah, 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 B. That was not a good day for anybody. I beat the brakes off of him. I beat the brakes off of everybody who tried to take me off of him. And I was only 14 years old, right? That was 1990, right? I have an ex-husband. He said some horrible things. That's why he's my ex-husband, right? You're supposed to love and protect me, right? When you call me a B, that's not the same thing, right? But when I go to the drag show, and they like, to your point, I know they're not talking about the same way, right? Or when I'm listening to Cardi or I'm listening to Glorilla, and you know, she says, "I never gave up." You can't do it because we live, right? I can't really spit those lyrics, but because I know we're in a Christian environment at this time. Yes. But what I'm saying is, when I'm in my circle group and I know that we're not using that word as a derogatory way, we're using as what we're really saying is you are beautiful, you are boss. It's an opposite. It's like opposites day now. So back in the day though, it was never opposite day, but we also didn't have hip hop. We also didn't have different things. I agree with you on the dress, but I also disagree that as a woman, society shouldn't tell me what to put on my body, whether or not I should get respect or not, because some people just like their bodies. And some people are proud of their bodies. They like to show them off and they work hard for them. Or some people have lost a lot of weight, had health problems, or maybe they're like me and they still look young for their age. And if I can still put on a little Daisy Duke, I might put on a little Daisy Duke and throw these legs out, right? But that doesn't make me a 304.
Right.
Because I know how to put on a swimsuit and look good in it. I remember last year I went on a cruise, and then I'm going to hand it over to somebody else. But I went on a cruise, and I hadn't been on a vacation in a long time. And if we live in Michigan, I don't get to wear swimsuits, but I love the water, and I love a good swimsuit, okay? That's like a wardrobe piece. If I lived in Florida, They call that swimwear is daywear there. Mm-hmm. So what we think is dressing sexy here, they dress like going to the store. Mm-hmm. I had to get used to that because I spent a lot of time in Florida, and I'm seeing women with crop tops, this, that, the other on, right? All types of different sizes, races, creeds, colors. They weren't thinking they were being sexual. They're like, it's hot. So when I go on the cruise and I have a whole suitcase full of swimsuits, a little small suitcase, and my little coveralls, because I'm a diva, I got to match all the things, right? If you're going to put it on, you got to put it on. I had some women throw shade at me. I'm like, well, we know you like to be naked. I don't like to be naked. I'm actually, I'm just going to tell y'all right now, I keep it pretty celibate in these worlds over here. So I definitely ain't trying to be naked. I'm definitely not trying to attack nobody. I don't want nobody on top of me. I just want to look good in a swimsuit, right? So we have to stop putting our own insecurities on other women, because that's what it is. If you are not secure in yourself and you know you don't want to put that on and you don't feel comfortable, it's not for you to open up your mouth and call that woman a 304 because you are insecure. So I do get a lot of what I would call pretty girl hate. You get pretty girl hate from men. You get pretty girl hate from men. I have nothing to do with this exterior. You can thank Melvin and Veronica for this. They are the ones that look good. I'm just a benefactor of good genes, right? So why should I be ashamed if I look good in my clothes and you look like Humpty Dumpty in your clothes? If you look like Humpty Dumpty in your clothes, you better be proud Humpty Dumpty. Don't make me feel bad because you are Humpty Dumpty in your clothes and I'm looking like Cinderella. Okay, so I think that's where we need to start treating women better, and we need to love ourselves. And that self-love piece, you wouldn't be so quick to worry about what another woman is doing. And it's also that it's insecurity piece, right? I'm not jealous of women. I love to compliment women. But I can tell the difference when I walk in the room, I guess. And I know I'm getting off the topic of the B word, but it all comes back. It all come back to self-esteem, right? If I say I'm a bad, I'm not dogging myself. I'm seeing it as a boss. Like I've actually used some acronyms to change the word, right? B being the first word, boss. I being individual, right? T being a teacher. C being cool, like as in say crazy, sexy, cool, and H being a hustler. So to me, I took that word and I repurposed it. But let a white man on the street say it out of context, we fighting. Just like if somebody says the Nigga and add all the rest of it on there, right? We already fight. So we live in a really messed up world where as black people, we came here devoid of name, devoid of culture, and devoid of meaning. And we've spent a lot of time trying to pull back. What does culture mean to us? Because people have given us things that are trash. They've given us food that's trash. They've given us neighborhoods that's trash. They've given us school systems that are trash. They've given us books that are trash. And then we have these labels that, like you say, are technically trash. But we've had to take everything and make it beautiful. So these words, to me, aren't trash. It's how I use them.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Chantel, you want to weigh in or not yet?
So it's a mixture. I understand what Ms. Johnson is saying. I also understand what you ladies are saying. Just from being of the millennial generation, I see both. I see my older aunts, and my mom, grandma, things like that. Like my mom right now, she'd be like, hey, I can't wear this. This is too short, and she's in her 50s, but she takes pride in looking a certain way and dressing and looking like a mom, right? So to a mom that's maybe in her 30s, she would still be okay with maybe wearing a shorter skirt, or maybe in her 40s. So it's tough, but when it comes to the words, me and my friend groups, I personally don't use it, but like I said, when it comes to song lyrics, if it's in there, I might, depending on the hypeness of the song or whatever, but it's not anything that I'm saying directly to someone. And I don't even sit in my friend groups or friend circles. Like, I know everybody say it's cool and things like that, but because we are more conditioned to the word not being a good word, I just, when I hear it, I don't necessarily equate it with something good. The like either B word or the 304 word, because essentially neither one of those are in context. Neither one of those are good words. But I do understand, like how Ms. Johnson was saying, like it's used as a sense of empowerment. If you take pride in more so saying like, yeah, I'm a hustler, I'm a bad bee, and I don't know if that's something that we've kind of been conditioned to thinking, or maybe we are used to the negative parts of it, to where we like, hey, well, if they're gonna call us that, why not make it positive? Or before they say it, I'll say it, but I'm gonna say it in a positive way. So it's like pretty much getting to me getting you before you get to me, essentially. And we just flipped it and tried to make it be a positive thing. But ultimately, if it was removed from the vocabulary, I'm sure life will still go on, we'll be fine. But yeah, I've never just said like, yeah, I'm a baddie or I'm a boss. Like, it's not, yeah. Like I said, typically in just normal conversation, I don't cuss. Like, I don't have to filter myself or just like, oh, excuse me. Yes, of course, out of anger, as in anybody, sure. But yeah.
Can I put a different twist on this?
Sure. Go ahead.
I mean, completely from a whole, complete different perspective. Because it's making me think about some stuff too. So, I come from the healing world. So I do different healing modalities. So I deal with energy and frequency all the time. That's how I do what I do. From a frequency standpoint, for those that are not familiar with Dr. Emoto, Messages in Water, and everything in life, everything that exists has a frequency to it. Everything, every illness, disease, every thought, every word has a frequency to it. And whether we're conscious of it or not, the things that we say have a resonance. And that resonance affects you and everything around you. Now, what I've not looked into, which is something that I'm going to, because we brought this up, is does the intention change the frequency of the word? So that's something that I'm going to do some research on. So because when the B word first became widely, it's always been out there. It's not like I've never heard it all my life. I have. But it was made more widely used and with a very serious negative connotation recently. Well, it's never been positive. Originally the word is a female dog. So the name has always been around. But so that word was changed as a reference to women. So it was made negative when that was never the origin of the word. So I'm going to look and do some research and see if the frequency of a word can be changed by the intent. And then I'm going to let you guys know, because I think that's something that's very interesting.
Yeah,
because if
it's good.
Then as you say, you can say the B word all, from several different perspectives. One you get insulted by, the other one will be a compliment. So I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to do a little homework on that and see.
Yeah, I like that, what you're saying.
So let's take a quick break. I want you to leave, though, so that you can find out how to get your My Aunt memo. So we're going to pull up My Aunt memos, our commercial, so you can see a little bit more about it and some of the other products that you can acquire through My Aunt Sabah Network.
That's good. Right.
All right. So now that you know where to get your mod memos, this is really about reflection. And it's reflection in a way that helps you recenter. And all of us have work to do, and sometimes we don't know where to start. When you pull a memo card, it gives you a place to start. And you can just build from there. Like I was talking about my business, so I could build from there, right? And so that's another great way to use it when you don't know where to start, or you're trying to connect to someone else. That's a good pairing opportunity too. So we are still on this conversation. Still talking about a woman's modesty, and we're talking about our words and how our words are mirrors. I want to share a little bit, and this is kind of about what we've already talked about, but I wanted to make sure that we put this on the record and in the hearts of those who are listening. Sister language is not just slang, it's soul talk. It's how we code, connect, and sometimes conceal what the world has tried to take from us. The words we inherit, reclaim, or reject hold history. They carry the rhythm of our resilience and the residue of our pain. For generations of Black women, from Gen X griots to millennial remixers to the Gen Z reimaginers, our words have become mirrors. They reflect how we see ourselves and how we demand to be seen. Now, here's some insights and some statistics that I want you to take with you. 68% of Black women say they've been called a B in either a professional or personal setting, sometimes by others, sometimes playfully by friends. That's from Essence Magazine article. 1 in 3 Black women under 35 say they use the B word in a reclaimed way as a term of empowerment, not insult. Nearly 70% of millennial Black women believe that media portrayals of the ride or die woman contribute to unhealthy relationship expectations. Yet over 50% also say they admire the ride or die spirit when defined as loyalty, faith, and unshakable love. So, and much of what's been echoed here in the studio today, I just want us to remember that words can be weapons and witness. So showing where we've been and what we're ready to release. Okay. We're going to introduce Dichondra Johnson, who is the author of Your Purpose is Your GPS, the journey of empowerment for African American women. And so I just want to just give some highlights about some things that you can take from her book. And she's going to tell us when that book is available and will it be released. So the first question in the book was, who are you? And in that, and I just pulled some of the chapters out of the book. So I'm just going to list those off, and I'm going to bring Dichondra on so she can talk a little bit more about that. And as you think about the reasons for writing the book and for this framing it in this conversation about the modesty of women and how words affect us, because you have a lot that covers that in this book. So here are some of the chapters that you can find interesting in this book. Finding your purpose on purpose, God's place in your purposeful journey. Life is definitely no crystal staircase. The day it almost came to an end. How we get over and thrive. Black and proud unapologetically. Living in your purpose while being a good friend. And though it's the end, it's just the beginning. And there's some other topics in there that I did not include for your mystery, so you can explore on your own. But Dichondra, thank you for being with us today in the midst of showing up again for more women this evening with the Spa Day. So if you can share a little bit about that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you. And Dr. Heather, she knows I am a work in progress. So when I write this book, it is not like I am the all things guru of having it together. Actually, I wrote this book because I am completely not together. But I wanted to take the time to use it as healing. So first, let's talk about today. We just hosted 6 fabulous ladies who got awards in D.C. during the Congressional Black Caucus. The Women Leaders of Michigan. Dr. Heather has been a part of our group. She has been really instrumental in helping us to really think through some of the spiritual side of that work, and I really appreciate that. We hosted Tiffany Tilley, Linda Wesley, Barb Farah, Letitia Johnson, councilwoman. Tiffany Tilley sits on our school board, by the way, State Board of Education. Linda Wesley's in our ombudsman office, where we just had a new woman who's taken over the ombudsman's office, Sherry Gay Dagnolo. Shout out to Sherry Gay. We are also honoring Rosalind Ogborn this year, who is with the League of Conservation Voters. Why we did this event, it started a few years ago, and it was really around my birthday. I wanted to give back and not just go to the Congressional Black Caucus. I wanted to party with a purpose, and actually sitting down with our Senator Sylvia Santana, shout out to Sylvia Santana, who does a lot of great work for Black women in our community as well, and just people in general. She's just, all around great person. We've thought about the fact that it was almost no representation of us in Congress anymore. And, this really hits home as we are soon to lay to rest the late, great former Congresswoman Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick. And we were thinking about Brenda Lawrence and the legacy that she was carrying. So we hosted this event. And then people said, you got to keep doing it. And as a person who sometimes I'm really strapped, I really almost gave up on this event a few times. Dr. Heather, I tell you, I have. Because it's hard. It's hard to host events. It's hard to pull things together. It's hard to get sponsorship. It is so hard right now. But I wanted to still be able to serve and give back. So as I started doing this event, I also knew that I was struggling with some things with my mental health that I didn't understand, but it wasn't until I got a Black female therapist through a sister circle who was the first one to spot it. And what was interesting is that when I started telling people on our committee and people that I know that I had this, they said I knew it. And I said, when are we gonna sit here and let our Black sisters struggle in our face, and you see us going through mental challenges and you don't say anything? You don't say, you know what, I got a friend, or I feel this way, or whatever. But then I had a couple people say, yeah, I knew that. And I kind of was offended because I'm like, you knew me 20-something years and you saw something I didn't see. Why didn't you say something to me? Why would you let me almost basically take my life multiple times? Why would you have me sitting here looking crazy, I feel like we need to look out for our sisters more. And we need to tell our sister when we see them flailing and when we see them ailing, instead of talking about them behind their backs, trying to backstab them, getting on social media talking about them. And you know what I'm saying, ladies. We are so quick to be critical of each other. And that's what this event was about. This is the one time I say, for all of the Black women who acted competitive or acted like enemies or acted like I was trying to take something from them or acted like I was trying to take their man I did not want or any of those things. Let's have this event that's positive. Let's love on each other. And it's hard because I don't even have sisters. So I'm the only girl. So finding the space to love people that don't always love you is hard, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I guess that's a long-winded to how did this happen? And I wanted to give a little bit more background behind that because I don't think I really talk about the angst and the struggle that I think goes with planning things for us, mm-hmm. and how hard we are on each other and how hard it is to serve us. I think I might, some ways, have easier time hosting something for a Caucasian audience than I would for us. We don't give each other enough grace. So this is what this event is about. It's about grace. It's about space. It's about purpose. It's about giving Black women who are hidden behind the scenes, that are sweat equity for everyone else, but not able to fill her own well. And some of the women that we've honored are exactly that. So your purpose is your GPS. You can find it actually on snarkyblackandbrown.com, where you can get the link. It is not a hard book. This is an ebook on purpose, because I know we're busy. And the next book won't even be an ebook like that. It actually is going to be audio. So just you listen to it, because I just don't think we have the time to sit down and give ourselves enough wellness to even have a hard copy book. I don't want someone's coffee table space. I want it to be in your mind, in your head. So I think that just kind of closes it. There's so many things about these chapters. The finding your purpose on purpose, the God's place in your journey. I struggle, right? I cuss, I fuss, I fight, but not really, but sometimes, I'm not perfect, right? But I still know where my North Star is. I still know about the Lord. I still pray on a regular. I pray for my son on a regular. And so I think that in reading this book, you get an understanding that I'm giving this from my perspective about my experience. I've shared some things that intimate about me. I've delved into sexual assault. I've delved into being not actually being able to come into. I didn't get deep into this, but I didn't even get a chance to come into talk about modesty. I think of that whole conversation about the 304. It really hits home because I was R. Kelly'd when I was young. I never had a chance to lose my virginity like normal. And I was always taught through these sorry men in our lives at the time that were around us. I say us, I mean the ones we grew up with, that in order to show you loved a man, you had to have sex with them. You know what I'm saying? So now, and men still do this, by the way, because I'm single and I am pressured to have sex when I don't want to a lot. I have been sexually assaulted even as a grown-ass woman. Excuse me to be cussing, but this is not you're promiscuous. This isn't that you're a 304, that you deserved it, right? But that's what we were taught. And we were taught that if you wore that short skirt, you asking for it. I'm not asking for anything. I have nice legs. There's nothing wrong with wearing your light skirt. And you shouldn't have to, because there's monsters out in the world, put yourself in a plastic bag. Why do I have to cover myself and dumb myself down and not bear who I am just so some nasty man doesn't take advantage? And we've taught women that if you show yourself who you are, you show your sexuality, if you show your beauty, if you show your talent, if you show your education, it's something wrong with you. You're either arrogant, you're toxic, you're a 304, you're full of yourself, like all these bad things. Why? What's wrong with us? And so this book is about me not apologizing for the things that happened to me, but also showing you that I did make it through those things, but it still bothers me. I will never get over multiple assaults. I'll never really get over domestic violence. I'll never really get over racism, right? These are all things that I don't care how much you pray. You can lie to yourself and say you prayed and you prayed it away. No, you didn't. You prayed it down. You didn't pray it away, because how do we wipe our minds of DNA that goes back 500 years? You know what I'm saying? Even if I was to wipe my traumas away, I can't wipe away the traumas that are in my DNA. All I can do is pray on it, right? And that's what I've been taught. So this book is about how do we help each other, but how do you help yourself? But also, how do you still be successful, unapologetically Black? How do you help your friends? How do you network? And where do you keep your center point? And that's God. You keep it on your purpose, and you don't let anybody tell you, I'm getting my doctorate right now. People ask me all the time, why are you doing that? Now, if I was a white man, do you think they'd be asking me that? What are you going to do with that? Where are you going to go with that? What if I don't want to do anything but just have it? Why do I have to be doing something so magically delicious with my being? What if I just say I got it because I got it? But I have to have some justification for being overly educated? I'm going to let this mic go because I will hold on. I remember being on a first date with a man who was an engineer. He was a biker. I think he was a mason, like all these things, right? And some of the women were like, oh, I like that. I'm not caught up on your job, your title, how many bikes you got, any of that. We sit down. First of all, he was trying to have sex too early. And I don't like that. And women, I'm just going to say this live. Do not let a man pressure you. If he is going to sleep around, then let him sleep around. But you don't have to give up your goods in order for a man to appreciate you. I've had men date me who've never touched me. And that's how I know that's true. and they love me. So this man who was trying to do too much, he asked me, he said, where'd you go to school? And I said, which time? Which is what I asked, because I have gone to school multiple times. And I told him, well, I went to this school. And I wasn't trying to brag. He'd asked me. He was like, well, why do you have so many degrees? This is what we're dealing with today. That's why I wrote this book. Because if anything, I read it myself, just so you know. I have to remind myself who I am sometimes. I would advise every woman, even if you don't publish your own book, write your own journal, write your own story, because you need to. You need to read out loud what you've lived. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's so part of what we talk about on our podcast is Lessons for the Journey, right? Part of what we talk about is women's wellness. We talk about healthy relationships, not just outside of us, but with ourselves. Mm-hmm. And the work that my aunt and I do, my aunt does it through her lens of relationship first aid, and she's a motivational healer on so many levels. And the work that I do in personal coaching and intergenerational teamwork and those types of things is really important. It's really, a lot of the things that you share, Dichondra, are really important. Part of that is the inward reflection. That's why within our podcast, we do a lot of reflections, right? We start off with the memos. We start off with questions for reflections. And we empower and encourage you all to remember the lessons, because there is something in the why. The WHY and the WISE. There's something in the whys that we have to continue to explore in order for us to elevate. Mm-hmm. Our goal is around elevation, transformation, because we are on a frequency in this space that is not the appropriate frequency for change. Mm-hmm. This is why we're seeing what we see in our environments, in our communities, because we are not, and I'm glad you brought this up, my aunt, we are not on the right frequency. And until we continue to elevate, and that is also, as you're elevating, that means you have to release the things that are holding you to the ground, and the things that are lower frequency, lower vibration. And it's really important as we look at our words and we start to see our words as mirrors, because again, it has a frequency. When we talk about affirmations, why the explosion of affirmations happened was a precursor to the season that we're in. You guys realize that, right? It was a big explosion of affirmation books, affirmation movies, affirmation groups. It was a huge explosion just before the floor dropped out of everything. But it was a reason that happened. And it was a reason why it was an explosion with the law of attraction. It was an explosion. It was everywhere, in everything, and everybody was talking about it. And the frequency at the time, people were moving toward elevation and healing. It kind of was one of those things that sparked the abundance mindset and movement. And then it just started to, more things started to counteract. And a lot of those things started with the words. It started with what we called ourselves in terms of political parties, our gender, our sexual orientation, like all of these things started to just implode. And it was like the weight of it pulled the frequency so close to the ground now that we see war in almost everything. We see war in ourselves for our own peace and our own peace of mind. What are we doing about that? This reflection piece is really, really big. It's not to live in the past. That is not the reason for it. What it is designed to do is to help you see what's in you, where the enemy is in me. It's not outside of you. And so the more we grow and the more we release and we heal those spaces that are like roots entrenched in things. And I agree with you, Dichondra. You talked about how effective DNA is in our journey. It is, but it's designed to be rewritten by every generation. DNA is just the blueprint. It is divided by the influence of our parents, but ultimately the choice and the decision and the direction is yours. What will you keep that was your mom or your dad or your grandparents? What will you keep that was in your neighborhood, the acceptable culture? What will you keep, and what will you recreate in a culture? And where will you pull from your tribe? So your tribe is not always going to be in your family. And this wise woman I know always talks about being able to choose your family, right? You may not be able to choose your biological family, but you can choose your sisterhood, right? You can choose your brotherhood. And so we have been empowered, and the age that we're in is squeezing us like a tube of toothpaste. The age of Aquarius is about this transformation, is about this spiritual revelation that you are spirit. You are not the sum of this body, and these are just parts. This is your anchor to this reality. And so, I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with you so that you understand how this is framed. But your words, wait, let me put this in order for you. Your thoughts, your words, and your actions, when they align, manifest what you see. We manifest what we see, and that means that we can change what we see. We can change our experiences, and that thought process includes belief. It includes what we embrace and what we say and what we share. Out of anger, out of pain, out of hurt, out of shame, all of it starts to shape, and then our actions follow that process. So first we have to keep our minds. We have to keep our minds. That means we need to feed things into our minds. We have to pay attention to what we're taking in and part of the windows of that mind. And so when you see things that question your values, when you have values, that's part of establishing it. And I love that in our ancient cultures, that was a big part of being initiated. There was a teacher that guided you. There were standards that you followed. There were checks and balances and systems. And that's what we need to get back to. That's why your sister circle is so important. We call it the tribe, right? Again, the words. It is essential that you are connecting outside of yourself. But you also are healing inside yourself so you can receive more. I'm going to ask you, what would you like for our listeners to leave with today? And then how can they reach you?
We talked about DNA, and DNA can be changed. Everything has to do with consciousness and intent. And when you change yourself, you change and restructure your DNA. It's a scientific fact. So we can change what's out here by us changing us. At the end of the day, everything ends right back in the seat that you sit in. It's always about you. Change you, you change the world. I can be reached at relationshipfirstaid.com, the website. Email address is relationshipfirstaid@yahoo. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Relationship First Aid. I want to keep it simple.
Right. Dichondra,
yes,
if you will, share with our listeners, our viewers,
yes,
how can they reach you? And what's your final word on today?
My final word is I aspire to be like these ladies here, I think it's important to know that your purpose is your GPS. Plug on the book. And this is a marathon, not a race. And that hopefully, and just hearing my struggles, it'll give people the hope to get on the journey so that you can think at the highest levels, then use the best words that get you where you are, and that your DNA will be changed. And I love what they said. And so you can reach me at drjasok.online. And I also can be followed on MZDEEOF313. That looks like Ms. D of 313 on Instagram. And also our book is on sale, and you can find that on DRJ and Asok, and also at snarkyblackandbrown.com. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to encourage our listeners too, because I think Chantel's podcast on Thursdays at 1 is super important. Chantel, can you please tell us how and where to listen to your show?
Yes, you can listen to my show every Thursday on the Podcastic Network at 1 p.m. and it is called One Step Closer.
Thank you. And just a couple of events that are coming up. Dichondra has a gala coming up on December 5th. That's a save the date.
Yes.
With the Islamic Center.
Yes, the Islamic Center of Detroit, where we serve thousands and thousands each week, hot meals, food, mental health that is free. We will be hosting this at the Fairlane Club, our new facility, which will be renovating to something beautiful. So just stay tuned with us December 5th, 5 p.m. Watch the social media, Islamic Center of Detroit, and follow us online, Facebook, Instagram. Shout out to the ICD family.
And for Encourage Me, I'm Young, we have our holiday cookie fundraiser box. Fundraiser holiday cookie box. That's right. So it's a $10 box. The cookies are amazing, and they're healthy choices for those who are conscious. Yes, Sweet Potato Delights. And that's Dr. Valanda. She is a woman-owned, veteran-owned business organization. She is extremely grounded in a community, and she's bringing healthy alternatives, and especially for those who have all kinds of restrictions on what you can have. Her cookies, not only are they good to you, they're good
Delicious.
for you.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And so we need your support in raising funds for our nonprofit. This is how we give back, is through through Encourage Me, I'm Young. And so if you are interested in supporting this effort, there are $10 cookie boxes. So you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to our phone number at 313-638 EMIY. So you can always reach us that way. And then finally, I am a personal change coach. I am Dr. Hetheru, and what I do is also help navigate the journey. In whatever ways that you are questioning that navigation is part of what I help you to do. I also provide workshops.
You.
Thank you. And you can reach me at YourInspired with a D, YourInspiredJourney.com. You can reach me by phone at 313-759-7855, 313-759-7855. And today, I'm so happy to be in good company and sisterhood with the women in the studio. For those of you who are listening, for those of you who needed the added good word, for those of you who needed to reset, let today be part of your lesson for your journey. We thank you for listening in. Stay tuned next week and stay clear.